It's time for Tread on Sports. 60 minutes of highlights from recent Lobo games, plus coaches' comments and player reactions. If there's time, we'll touch on local high school events and even have some comments on professional sports and teams of interest to New Mexico sports fans. Tread on Sports is an original production of Dana TV in cooperation with ProView Sports Channel 26. And now, here's Tread, your host for Tread on Sports.
Welcome to Tread on Sports. I'm Tread. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about the New Mexico Bowl, ladies hoop against UTEP a couple weeks ago. Then we're going to have a segment called Upon Further Review, in which we take a look at a play that may not have gotten a lot of attention, that I feel had a huge impact on the game, or may just be interesting to me. Then we're going to finish with men's recent game against Arkansas Pine Bluff. But first, we begin with the New Mexico Bowl. This was New Mexico's second straight year playing in the New Mexico Bowl. And while it was played on their home field, they were in their road whites. The scoring started when University of Texas San Antonio's Victor Falcon kicked through a 27-yard field goal. This was a historic moment for University of Texas San Antonio's football program, as it was their first points ever scored in a bowl game. It wasn't that they got shut out in their last bowl game, but this was the first time that they had made a bowl game. History happened for UNM today as well, as on the first carry of the game, Terrion Gibson broke 1,400 yards for his career, which put him in 5th place. By the end of the day, Terrion Gibson would move into 4th place on UNM's all-time career rushing list. First touchdown of the game came when Richard McCorley pounded in a 1-yard touchdown towards the end of the first quarter. At the end of the first quarter, it was 7-3, with the Lobos leading. UNM had done great this year at having big rushing plays. Beside the 10-yarder to start the game with Gibson, UTSA did a great job of shutting down UNM's run game. In the second quarter, UTSA was able to get on the board again when Victor Falcon hit a 28-yarder this time, which means this is now the longest kick in UTSA Bowl history. Jason Sanders would match and do better with a 52-yard field goal into the wind to end the second half. And if you take a closer look at this play, you'll see that it wasn't as easy as you thought. As the snap, there was trouble with the snap, and the hold, laces towards the kicker. You never want laces towards the kicker, but Jason Sanders was able to knock in the deep kick in the second half. One of the good things about halftime at a bowl game is the pageantry. You get to see both teams' bands and both teams' cheerleaders. 29,688 showed up to University Stadium to watch the bowl game. Many of them retreated into the stadium at halftime as the wind really picked up and would affect the teams in the third quarter. And to start the second, Terrion Gibson would add a quick 10-yard touchdown, and the extra point would be blocked. This would be significant as it ended Jason Sanders' 88 extra point streak, consecutive extra points made in a row. On UNM's next drive, Lamar Jordan would take a quarterback keeper up the right side, but he would come up slow. This was a flashback to last year's bowl game as Lamar Jordan had to leave in the third quarter due to a knee injury. You can really see the concern from his teammates, coaches, and trainers as they huddle around him on the field. Austin Apodaca would come in for Lamar Jordan. His first 2 passes would both fall incomplete. Luckily for the Lobos, Lamar Jordan would return on the next offensive series. Defense was able to bail out the Lobos after those 2 incompletions, as it was Lee Crosby who got his 3rd career interception and the first of the year. Big moment for the senior to get an interception in his last career game. At the end of the third quarter, it was 16-6. UTSA was still limiting the Lobos' rushing game and had a chance to get back into it in the fourth quarter. However, it would depend on them scoring quick in the fourth quarter. And that is exactly what they did, as a 16-yard pass from Dalton Strum to Trevor Stevens, and Stevens is able to get into the right pylon, doing his best Odell Beckham impression as you see him get the ball into the inside hand, dive for the pylon, and get the points. That was his first career touchdown, and it's important because that is the first touchdown scored by UTSA in bowl history. However, the Lobos would counter with a 12-play, 7-minute, 21 drive that was kicked off by that 34-yard pass from Lamar Jordan. Richard McCorley would cap off the drive with another 1-yard touchdown after converting on a fourth down earlier in the drive. Jason Sanders would make this extra point, meaning he has a streak of 1 going into next season. UTSA did make it interesting as they added another touchdown pass, this one a 4-yarder to Jabryce Taylor late in the fourth quarter. This would mean that the game would come down to the all-important and exciting onside kick with 25 seconds left. And if you look at this, 25 fourths, is that an improper fraction or a grammar? There needs to be some colons there. That's a really confusing scoreboard, and I hope UNM can fix that by next year. And coming up on the onside kick, look here for Chris Davis, number 15. The 5', 6" Davis goes after the onside kick and attacks it and gets it before it can cross the 10-yard limit. Good heads-up play by Davis to seal the game as his teammates come and celebrate. As we see Lamar Jordan take his 3rd kneel of the game after UTSA used a couple timeouts. As the clock runs out, Davey runs onto the field and is carried by his players to the handshake. This victory would put the Lobos at 9-4 for the season and put their bowl record at 3-8-1. Dakota Cox and Lamar Jordan were named offensive and defensive MVPs of the game, and Dakota Cox became the 3rd player in Mountain West history to finish his career with over 400 tackles. He was also the only Lobo to have 100+ tackles in every season and was a 3-time captain, also the first time in UNM history. Here we see Jeff Symbieta, president of the New Mexico Bowl, present Dakota Cox with his award. When we come back, we'll hear from Coach Davey, Lamar Jordan, Richard McCorley, and Terrian Gibson, and hear what they had to say about today's game.